Hi, this is Donna from Clever Crafting. Thank you for joining me today. So this is the lovely greeting card we're making today. It's a hexagon, so a little beehive shaker card. You won't need very many supplies for this one, and you can either make it as a landscape or a portrait. So hopefully you'll be able to give this a go once we've finished the video. So to get started, we are going to use some hexagons. So now I've actually got a template below that you can use to print out and cut some out, or if you've got dies, you can use them. So we've got a piece of black cardstock, which is 10 centimeters across and 14.3 centimeters deep. We've got a standard A6 card base, and we're going to be using some double-sided foam tape. Also, you'll need a little bit of acetate and some little bees if you've got some around. I'm also going to be using some shaker sprinkles, just some little confetti or beads or whatever you want to put in your shaker elements. So I've actually started with white cardstock because I wanted to color this beautiful mustard seed Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just using my dauber, you can see here, and I'm just popping it all over the actual hexagons. Now, you don't necessarily want this even. In actual fact, if it's uneven, it gives you a better look because, things aren't perfect in nature. They're normally a little bit uneven, a little bit, stronger color here, less color there. So it really adds to it. I've actually already done some that are dry, so I'll show you what I mean by being uneven. You can see that the coloring on these is not even at all. Look at my yellow fingers there. Ooh, anyway. What we're going to do now is put some double-sided tape on the back. So I'm actually using a thin double-sided tape. It's only 3mm wide. The standard double-sided tape is 6mm. But you can use the standard double-sided tape. You might have to trim it a little bit, but it will work. The double-sided tape is going around here because we are going to be sticking this on the acetate, and I find that double-sided tape works best. Now you'll notice that all I'm doing when I'm getting to the corners here of the hexagon is just folding my tape around, because although it'll leave bubbles in the backing sheet, which I'm pretty sure we get a close-up there, it's not going to affect the tape at all. So you can just push them down with a bone folder, and then when we take the release paper off the back, the double-sided tape is fine. Now I'm just going to do that to all of these, and with the magic of camera, they're all done. And here's my piece of scrap acetate. Now, if you don't have any acetate, you can use anything off packaging or whatever. You can even use cellophane for this, to be honest with you, if you've got some cellophane from, some of the latest dies or stamps that you've purchased. So you can see that I'm just removing the release paper off the back, and I am going to pop it on my acetate. Now, I'm doing it this way because I think that it's the most economical way. I also find it's a little bit easier to cut. And because I want the first two stuck right beside one another, really close, although I'm going to stick all of them fairly close, but I'm going to cut those first two together, but you'll see that in a moment. So this, I find the easiest way of doing this, and you could really do this with any shape you wanted. So if you've got any nesting dies, you could use, two sizes to make the frame, or for some of the easier shapes, squares, triangles, you could easily just print them out on your computer and cut them out, or draw them and cut them out, and it would give you the same sort of effect. So I'm just cutting off the excess. I'm using my big scissors here, the excess acetate off this, and I am going to cut these off. Now, these are the two that I'm going to keep together because I want my shaker elements to go from one little honeycomb chamber to the other honeycomb chamber, and to do that, I'll have to have them joined. So I am just trimming the excess acetate all around the edges of this. A nice simple thing to do, because with the honeycomb shape or the hexagon shape, it's really, really easy, all just straight lines. So no difficult fussy cutting or anything here. We're just trimming this off. And because it's the acetate, it doesn't even matter if it's not perfect because you can't really see it anyway, which of course is a bonus. All right, so there's the two that I'm going to leave stuck together. For the rest of them, I'm actually going to split them in half. Oh, well, not in half, but split them down the middle. So they're individual ones. So I've cut all of them out, and you can see here's all my little pieces that have got the acetate on them. The next thing that we're going to do now is use our double-sided foam tape. So this is stuff that I get from Bunnings. It's 6 millimeters wide and it's 1 millimeter thick. So 1 millimeter is not going to cut it. So I needed it 3 millimeters. So I put 3 layers together here. And you can see that when I've done that, I've managed to keep the release paper on both sides. That means that I can split this down the middle very easily and they won't get stuck to my scissors because the sticky is covered on both sides. So this is just a nice, inexpensive way for you to be able to use some double-sided foam tape, particularly when, you know, there's a lot of other things that I like to spend my money on. If I can just spend a couple of minutes cutting my foam tape down the center, well, that's what I'm going to do. All right, so now I've got a couple of pieces and I am just going to trim the end because I want to make sure that it's very straight at the end. Where I folded it over, they didn't even up. So I've just trimmed them so they're exactly even, so I have no chance of any little pieces escaping. So I've just taken the release paper off one side. Now, because this stuff that I get from Bunnings is got a plastic backing, this folds around really easily with only taking the release paper off one side. It also helps because it's quite thin, so you can manipulate it around. But if you're having any difficulties with your double-sided foam tape, you can in actual fact just take the release paper off the back. The other thing that I want to mention is that other double-sided foam tape might be 2 mil or 3 mil. If it's already 3 mil thick, you don't need to do a second or third layer. If it's 2 mil thick, you could maybe do a second layer to make it a little bit thicker. It just gives you more room for all of the shaker pieces to be in. So you can see that what I've done is I've sealed that around the edge there, so it's made a little pool. So I'm sure some of you are asking, okay, that's great, but I don't have any black double-sided foam tape. But if you've got white double-sided foam tape, you can cut it into the thin strips, the same as I did with the black, and you can just use a black marker to go along the edge. Just make sure you let it dry really well because it takes a minute to dry because it's on plastic. All right, so I've done all of those, made all my little pools for the little sequins so they don't fall out. And now I'm just going to decide what layout I want. This is why I like to have 3 of them separate, because you can just make your own little design and however you want it to be. So you can see that this is landscape. I did plan on doing a landscape one. I do like them that way. But once again, it's totally up to you. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's the layout that I am going to go with. All right, happy days. So I'm going to start with the double one. Now we can't put the goodies in the pool. We've actually got to put them on the card base. So this is the matte, the black matte piece that we're working on. So I'm just going to put some of my shaker sprinkles. So now these sprinkles, I'll try and link them down below, but I'm not exactly sure whether I'm going to be able to immediately. But if it's not when you watch this video, then come back in the next couple of days and I'll have a link there. So what I've done is the sprinkles are nice and small. So they're sequins and they're different shapes and they're nice and small, so they shake around really well. And you can see that in one side I'm putting a bee. Now my bee won't move from chamber to chamber because it's too big, but my sprinkles will. And that bee is just a little piece of ephemera. So you can see that now I'm just popping that over the top. I took the release paper off the back and pressing it down to keep it nicely sealed. Excellent. So I just zoomed in a tiny little bit then, and I will do the rest of them. I think I've sped this up. Yeah, I've sped this up like about 3 times or 4 times. And I am just doing the same thing. So I'm putting some of the little shaker sprinkles down, removing the release paper. And that's frustrating trying to watch someone do that, isn't it? And then popping that into place. I am putting a little bit of a black gap in the middle there because I just think it adds to it. So while I keep doing this, I would just like to invite you all to come and have a look at us over on Gold Coast Crafters. That's our Facebook group. You will see other examples of these cards because we did do it in our Friday night online, on our Friday afternoon online class. If you're interested in finding out more information about our online classes, please just leave something in the comments below. But our group is really friendly. They're extremely supportive. So why don't you come on over, have a look, and then maybe you'd like to join us as well. We love having people from everywhere. All right, so here's my card, and I've got all my little hexagons on it. Oh, it's so cute. I just love these. And you can see that I've put a bee in another one of them as well. All right, so this is from the Stamp and Die set, that is on this particular month. So I'll have a link to this month's kit, and those bees are actually in there. So I stamped them and colored them in. And now I am just using some of the Smart Art glue and popping that on my card base. I did check to make sure that I had put it on the right way to start off with, that it was opening the correct way. Haven't we all done that? It's crazy. All right, and here it is. Here's our card. All finished. So just waiting for a greeting because we'll make a couple. I tend to make quite a few these days without greeting, so I can just put any greeting on there when I'm ready to use it. I hope you've learned something today. I'd love you to try out this little card design and some of the procedures in this. If you do, once again, I just want to mention our Facebook group. You're welcome to come and give us a look at what your creation is. If you've enjoyed the video today, I would love you to subscribe. It really helps me out with my channel to, get it up a little bit bigger. And once again, thanks for joining me. And please stay safe and happy crafting.